All right, welcome women to our pooping in the woods meeting training. Anyway, we're really excited. We put out a lot of I put out a message on Facebook, and a lot of you guys have replied and had some fantastic ideas. So please, I have a outline for today's Zoom meeting, and so you can download that on the Facebook page, and it has the names of the products that the ladies really liked. So anyway, hopefully that'll be helpful for you. We'll say some products and things that we like as well. So feel free to check them out. We are not anyway, we're not sponsored by any of these companies, whatever. All right, first thing is urinate. One of the things that I think really intimidates our women, and we have had women on our trips that are just terrified to pee in the woods, poop in the woods, do overnight campouts because it involves either one of those. We've had gals that have not peed or pooped for a day because they're just terrified of this thing. And so for this reason, we want to make the mountains a pleasant experience for you, and that it's okay to do this. This stuff happens. It's been happening for thousands. Women have been dealing with this for thousands of years in the mountains. So there are good and bad ways to do it. So we're going to teach you some fun tips and hopefully help things be a little bit better and nicer and easier for you. All right, so first thing we're going to talk about is urination. I love some of the tips that you ladies gave. I'm going to demonstrate some of our things. So hopefully you can see. One of the tips is to squat on your heels. Very important. And with your legs far apart, of course, your pants down, and not in the way. I've noticed with men have a lot more aim. Women, especially if you had some kids, there's not a lot of prediction in where things are going to go. So you want to have like a wide area of splashing that you will be safe. So yeah, legs wide, clothes up in a nice, safe area as well. Peeing downhill, there's mixed reviews on peeing on rocks. Of course, you're peeing on rocks if you're really low, you're going to have splashback, which is super not cool on your shoes and your clothes. So you might want to be a little higher. I do want to point out, if you are in the desert, peeing on the rocks is actually a very ecologically friendly way to urinate, because it just dries out and it affects the environment a little bit less. So that's something to consider if you're willing to take that to the next level. And then we had another gal suggest holding onto a branch to kind of help with stability, which is also really cool. You could do that standing a little bit and holding onto a branch. For those of you gals who might be new at this, another thing to do is to get a nice log, if you're lucky to be somewhere that has a log, and you can try sitting on this log and then just having your pants down, and that gives you a little bit of a seat, and then you can just kind of pee forward, and hopefully that is a little easier for you. You can also just do a straight up, like, lean up against a tree, just kind of and do that like exercise squat as well. I can't do that for very long, so I have a harder time doing that. But you can also hug a tree, and then just use that and squat and pee like this as well. I am not that friendly with my trees, but that is an option that you could do. And then as far as wiping, there's two ways to get clean and dry-ish. One is the drip dry. So if you don't have anything, I usually will just sit there and just kind of shake a little bit and wait a little bit and then call it good. The tricky thing is if you end up doing that a lot, it does set you up for urinary tract infections. So do be careful. A product one of the gals recommended was Kula, K-U-L-A, cloth, as something to wipe with. I'm sure you could use wet wipes as well. You could use toilet paper. Just know that any of these items that you use, you need to put in a Ziploc bag and pack out, which is kind of why I usually prefer the drip dry, because I don't have to worry about bringing anything with me. But yeah, do not bury toilet paper. It's the worst thing. Someone will always find it later, or an animal, or anyway, no one wants to see that stuff. So always pack that out. All right, so that's peeing. Pooping in the woods is usually a little bit more intimidating. I've had issues in the past where we were doing high altitude climbs where we just didn't even want to mess with pooping. In fact, in Argentina, on Aconcagua, you would get fined if they found that you pooped on their rocks anywhere on the high altitude camps. And my father actually got a $200 fine, which he bought. But anyway, so you just got to be super careful. I mean, in situations like that, we just put on Imodium and just stop the whole flow. But there's danger in that your body does need to go. And if you can do it, it's a really good thing to just kind of, just keep your system running well. So just the standard thing, what you guys have heard is digging a cat hole. And a cat hole is something you want to be about 6 inches down, deep. It's a hole 6 inches deep. You want to be away from a trail as much as you can, not on the trail, obviously, and then 100 feet away from water. And especially if you are like water that's down, like something's going to go wash down into the stream. You want to watch out for that. And then, of course, your camp. So you want to kind of keep something, I usually say rule of 100 feet from trails, camping, water especially. And then you want to cover that up again. Now, I'm going to say that there are some times that you are places where you cannot dig 6 inches down. It's just not possible. It's too rocky. It's too dry. It's just not possible. So you do the very best you can. If you are actually going to have poop just sitting on a rock, you really need to just and that's all that there is. Get a Ziploc bag. I'm sorry, you got to pack that stuff out. If you can't get 6 inches, get as best as you can. And I will actually put rocks. I'll cover it up with as much debris as I can and maybe put a rock or, whatever I can to kind of just keep it down in there. You don't want to bury something too deep because then it won't break down. So it's kind of a little chemical mixture imbalance that some of you microbiologists could probably explain to all of us. But so anyway, you want to find a nice good balance, but definitely keep it down, buried, safe, so it's not gonna get in our water, and hopefully creatures aren't gonna, your dog is not gonna find it later, or your kids, who knows, whatever. All right, and then the same applies with this. You can use the Kula cloth, or my husband has a brilliant thing he wants to share with you. If you do not want to carry a cloth and you want to keep your bottom clean from poop.
All right, so here we are. This is something that I picked up just from Amazon. It's very cheap. There was on Reddit, I'm a Redditor, and on Reddit, somebody said, okay, everybody in the world, what is something that you've spent $25 on or less that has totally changed your life? And this was the number one thing that they had. So this is called a bio bidet, and I just got it on Amazon. So it's a bidet that you use, and a bidet is what they use in Europe. For some reason, we don't use it in America. We like to wipe our butts with toilet paper. I don't understand. They squirt their butts with water in Europe. Okay, so this thing you fill with water right here, and there's a little handy thing right here to flip under for the physics of the way water and air works. You just plug this down and you flip it upside down like that, and that prevents it from squirting out while you're holding it. And then you can let go of that and squirt your butt. There you go. That's all there is to it. And then you just close this down, dump the water out, whatever you want to do. You can use, I would recommend obviously drinking water, not Giardia water from the river for it, and there you go. It just keeps you nice and clean. And then you just, you can use a piece of toilet paper or whatever to dry yourself off, but then you obviously take that out with you, or just kind of shake off and get dry, whatever. And then it just conveniently, it's lightweight, just an empty water bottle basically, and you just take it away. There you go. That's my thing.
Awesome. Literally will change your life. Some things are worth being a little bit, what do you say, high class. I don't know, be a little classy and worth the wait to bring, just to make your camping experience a little bit more enjoyable. So that is one of my husband's favorite things, just little luxuries. That's what I meant to say, mini luxuries. Excellent. I'm kind of a stick, rock, leaf girl so bad. So he's still working on convincing me. And then obviously hand sanitizer after. We definitely want to do that. Okay, now kids and pooping and peeing is a total disaster sometimes, especially when they're little. So so if you've got little boys, you're probably awesome with that. And you notice the little boys are awesome and they'll just go wherever. You just gotta tell them what not to pee on, not on the tent, not on the car tires, away from the river. Otherwise, they're good. Same thing with pooping. Teach them to dig their holes. Give them a cute little shovel. Dig their little hole. Or toilets, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Little girls are way more complicated. So I have learned by having I have a 2 and a 6-year-old, there were some tricks that we learned. One of them is if you've got littles and they've got to pee, that I just will strip them from their waist down, including socks and shoes, because something is gonna get wet. I've never, like when they're little, like 2 and 3-year-olds, it's just too hard. So I'll just hold them, they do their business, and then we'll clean them up and put all their clothes and stuff back on. So I usually just strip them naked, half naked. Another tip is I will sit them against a tree. Same thing like for the women, if they're bigger, you can just have them pull down their drawers, just like that we talked for you guys, and pull down their pants and have them sit against a tree. What I have done for kids that are a little bit bigger too, is I will take them under their arms and have them put their feet on top of a branch or the side of a car or something like that. And so their butt is below their feet. And then everything's been pulled up to their ankles. And so hopefully at that point they can kind of pee wherever it's going to go. And hopefully it's going to be, and you have a kind of a wide area. Of course, as a parent, you want to make sure you have wide feet, because I can't even count the amount of times my feet have been covered in little kid urine. So definitely keep a wide berth for yourself as well. And then some little tips is you can have them, let's see, all the same tips that we talked. You can have them hold a tree when they get a little bit bigger, sitting on the log, that kind of a thing. All right. I'm sure you got way more tips on this. And when we post this, feel free to add it in your comments as well. Kids are just an adventure. But once you unlock the key of going to the bathroom in the woods, it is life-changing. Also, once you help them to not be scared of porta potties and pit toilets, that's also life-changing. Anyway, so good things to work on. And then, of course, hand sanitizer. All right, now we're going to talk about women in menstruation. This is something that we don't talk about, but everyone needs to know about. So we have some tips. The odds that on any of our trips that somebody is having their cycle is pretty high. So kudos to those women for coming, even though they're probably cramping and bleeding and it's super not fun. I think that's just awesome. So thank you, ladies, for coming on our trips. If you happen, here's some tips that might help. If you have tampons or pads and are able to find something that's more biodegradable and less plasticky, that is awesome, because what you can do is you can put your soiled ones into a paper sack, like a little lunch sack. And if you have a campfire on your journeys, you can just burn that because it's paper and moisture and blood, it's all that stuff. So it's okay to be burned. If it has plastic, any sort of plastic, then you definitely want to put that in a Ziploc bag, and just like your poop, you want to pack it out. Another tip for items that we're packing out, a little handful of kitty litter. If you pre-put that in your little baggies, makes things a little bit nicer smelling, if you're into that kind of thing. Anyway, and then of course, wipes. It is just amazing to be able to be clean down there. So it's for me, it's worth it. So baby wipes in a little Ziploc bag, and then I have clean ones and dirty ones, or I put the dirty ones in with any of my soiled things, and it's all just like in one thing. That's cool. Yeah, I think that's good for that. And then there are, one of my friends, Judy, uses something called a June cup. She tells me, and she's super excited, so hopefully she's not embarrassed that I'm sharing this with. But I think like the menstruation cups are fantastic ideas, because they're little rubber cups with a little pouch, and essentially you squish it in, and it goes up sideways, and then comes like this, and then sits inside you like this, and then can just kind of do its thing and collect all its stuff, and then you can just take it out at your leisure, and it just keeps things a little bit more clean and less worry, especially if you're doing something like a half day or something pretty short term. You can just keep things a lot more simple. So hopefully those tips help. All right, next we're going to talk about toilets. So for those of you guys who want to be a little bit more civilized and just going in the woods, they have a ton of really cool camp toilets. And we had one gal suggest it's OXO toilet, also the Camco, CAMCO toilet seat. The idea is the same. It's just like a toilet seat on like the top part of a toilet with a little lid, and then it's light enough that you can throw it in a backpack, and then you can just have that on top of a bucket. If you had a 5-gallon bucket, you could do that. I don't know if one of them has like an independent stand where you don't have to have a bucket per se, because it's a lot to carry. A 5-gallon bucket's awesome as a base camp, but not so much backpacking. But maybe you guys can clarify that. But essentially, you have this little seat on a bucket, and they can pee. You can pee in it, and usually some of the gals seem to say if it's peeing, I don't worry about it. But if it's pooping, I do like to have like a garbage sack under there, a thick garbage sack. Throw some kitty litter in there, and then you can use it multiple times, and that seems to work really good, just to kind of add a little sense of civilization. And then if you have one of our gals, Tina, was awesome and changed some people's lives by having a tent, just a really small little tent around it, which also provided some privacy. So that was fantastic. And then of course with that bag, we want to do the same thing. We're packing all that sort of stuff out as well. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to talk about is showering. I have to just say, I've learned a lot of these lessons we're sharing with you the wrong way. So one of them was showering. I was living up Logan Canyon once for 6 weeks for a forest camp, and we just lived in a tent by the river. And so I had a little shower. It was me and 2 guys. So I had some privacy. I found some aspens that were really close together, and I just tied a tarp around them and called that good. It was not close enough, by the way. Anytime I went in that shower, I was exposed to like half this mountain slope, which luckily I don't think a lot of people hiked on, so it was okay. But I did become a little bit more one with nature. So if you do choose to do something like that, have as tight a group of trees as possible. And then as well as I just used, ironically, I was a forest student, I was going forest school. And I used non-biodegradable shampoo and soap, and I killed everything within like a 3 square radius of my little shower. Anyway, we were there for 6 weeks. But even if you're going somewhere overnight or for a few nights and you want to have a little shower, you use your biodegradable shampoo and soap. It makes a huge difference. And a lot of water, just know that this is going somewhere. So we want to make sure that it's not going to poison the plants, the water, the soil, all that kind of stuff. Or just do water, A lot of the camp showers, if you do something or you want to be solar, you can either heat the water yourself, but that uses a lot of fuel. They'll come in like a black bag, and that black bag, you can sit it out all day, and that water heats up, and then you hang it, and then it has a little spout that comes down. And I'm sure there's way cooler things now. You guys can add those in the comments too. But the idea with that is it's a solar shower, and that hot water can just, you can have nice warm water, which everyone loves. And that's kind of a fun little tip. I think in girls camp, we had milk jugs that we spray painted black, and it did the same thing. So anyway, if you're a super low budget, you also have that option. So also, if you are not able to shower and you're going to be out there for a while, and we have some awesome gals in our group who have been in the mountains for a long time. The longest I ever did was 18 days and without a shower, and just learn the beauty of wet wipes. So you just wipe the critical areas, call that good, and just get super excited when you get to a shower. But it is possible. So if you need to go sometime, just use lots of wet wipes. Tip, wintertime, wet wipes freeze. So do put them in a Ziploc bag inside your sleeping bag overnight if you don't want to have frozen wet wipes in the morning. Anyway, that's all our tips for today. Let's ask our ladies, do you guys have any questions or anything you wanted to add? Otherwise, give us a thumbs up. Awesome. All right. Well, that concludes our Zoom training on pooping in the woods. Hopefully you learned a few tips to make everything a little bit easier, and we'll come and play. And once that's all figured out, the world and the woods are so much more enjoyable. We love you lots and can't wait to play in the future. Have a great night.